You're watching college gymnastics on ESPN as the Pittsburgh Panthers travel to Raleigh to challenge the NC State Wolfpack. We are here inside historic Reynolds Coliseum. Hello, everybody. I'm Andrew Sanders, joined by Rachel Garland, Taylor Brooks. We're so glad you could join us as well on this Saturday afternoon. Rachel, as we reach this point of the season, we're now in week 6. NC State and Pittsburgh in Eagle competition. The Wolfpack are still undefeated, but Pittsburgh going to be stiff competition today.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Stiff competition. What's nice is Pittsburgh's ranked number 2 on every event except bars. So bars has always been their downfall so far in the last 5 weeks, but they've only competed 5 gymnasts. This is the first week they're going to have their 6th gymnast, and it's actually one of their all-arounders from last year. She ended up with shoulder surgery over the summer, but we're excited to see her back on bars, and then that way, hopefully Pittsburgh can bring it back.
Yeah, and Taylor, what kind of an impact does that have when you go from competing just 5 to having 6 in the rotation?
Yeah, absolutely. Ideally, you want to put up 6 girls on each event and drop that lowest score. So by only having 5 girls, you lose that opportunity to drop that score, and the room for error is a lot smaller.
Yeah, take some of the pressure off. And hey, speaking of scores, it's week 6. So after this week, we're going to talk RQS. Rachel, I know this is something you're a big fan of. Tell us a little more about it.
I love the RQS. So after this week, all of the rankings currently are going to change. So you can see how the breakdown works. Each team is going to take their top 6 totals. 3 of them have to be from a wave scores. You drop the high, and then you average the next 5. The difference is after week 6, if teams have not had 3 away meets at this point, they don't have an RQS. So there may be some teams that fall lower into the rankings because of that reason. Right now, everything's done by the average.
Yeah, speaking of average scores, as we take a look at the Eagle standings so far, and NC State is at the top. Pittsburgh currently in 4th, but if you notice, Taylor, there's just 4/10 separating the Wolfpack and the Panthers, so we expect this one to be very close, and that's just the kind of sport gymnastics is. It comes down to a 10.
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. So tonight we're going to be looking for those stuck landings, and those extra little tenths here and there can make all of the difference.
And again, these teams will calculate their RQS scores after this week. Here's the head coach of the Pitt Panthers, Samantha Snyder, wearing the all pink because it is the pink meet here for breast cancer awareness. And she did a great job in season 1. Now she's back season 2, and the Panthers picked 4th in the preseason. They have big expectations this year.
Definitely, like you said, picked 4th in the preseason. She's only in her 2nd season as their head coach. Actually, their whole coaching staff is in their 2nd season, which is very unique. But first postseason appearance since 2013, and she was able to accomplish that in her first season.
NC State, of course, as the home team, starts off on the vault.
Pretty solid vault that we had there. Nice landing. Didn't come from that 10-0 start value, but nice way to start it off.
Yeah, Meredith Robinson, I know she's working on upgrading that vault. Like you mentioned, not a 10-0 start value. Actually, NC State doesn't have anyone with a 10-0 start value on vault for this year. And then over to the uneven bars, Sophie Bachnek. She is a 3 events gymnast, so we'll see her several times this evening.
Yeah, a couple of main storylines here, and it's going to be bars to start, as you said. Pitt very strong on all the other rotations, but on bars, they're last place in the Eagle. No real surprise, considering they were only starting 5 young ladies in that rotation. So they get it out of the way right away, and we're going to find out pretty quickly here if they can compete with the best team in the Eagle on bars, NC State.
Exactly. Like you said, putting up only 5. Last week they had to count a fall because it's, when you put 5 up and somebody has a fall, you have to count that fall score. This week with 6 gymnasts, if somebody falls, you still can drop that low score. And so again, hopefully by Haley being back in the lineup, they've got big expectations with her, and I know they're excited to get her back. And then moving back over to vault, Victoria Pratty, vault specialist for NC State.
Nice vault by Victoria. We saw a full twisting Yurchenko, but in a tucked position, which is unusual, but definitely was very clean. And a nice way to continue this vault rotation for NC State.
season and a career high on vault for her, a 9.7. So again, not the greatest score. I would say it's kind of average for NCAA gymnastics. That tucked full, again, not from a 10.0, so it does already keep the start value a little bit lower.
So as a gymnast going into vaults, or really any of the rotations, where do you draw that line where you say, okay, I'm capable of this, but I want that 10.0 start value? What goes into that decision making, and do you make that decision? Is that in concert with the coaching staff?
I think that it would be a decision made by the gymnast and the coach. Obviously, the coach having the final say in that, but obviously the gymnast has to feel confident and about what she's doing, and she wants to go up and do the best performance she can for her team. So if that means having to do something a little bit easier because she can execute it better, then in that case that they'll take the easier vault. But
you're looking so often for consistency.
Yes, absolutely.
In this sport.
You don't want to get up there not knowing if you're going to hit your routine or not.
This is Olivia Miller for Pittsburgh on the uneven bars. Miller named Eagle Rookie of the Week. It came out on Tuesday. She is a 3-event specialist tonight. Again, Pitt does not have an all-arounder.
And that's one of the other storylines as Miller takes a step there. As Pitt not going to have an all-arounder today. NC State has 2 of the best all-arounders in the Eagle with Caitlin Flard and Drew Grantham. And there's their second-year head coach, Kim Landris. All she did in year 1 was win the Eagle. Job well done. They're picked to repeat this year.
Yeah, she has done a fantastic job just really building these gymnasts' confidence. I still think they've got some work to do. You could see just those landings. That's really what it is with NC State. They've got really clean gymnastics. They've got big, high-flying performances, but they can't stick their landings. And when you count 5/10 for each step on each event, you're looking at roughly 2 points overall in terms of their team total.
I had the opportunity to sit in on the team meeting before the meet today, and the team was really talking about those little details there about how they wanted to focus on their stuck landings and make sure that every move was with a purpose and an intention. So I know that that's definitely something that they're focusing on.
All right, and here it is. So Haley Breckwald, again, out for shoulder surgery over the summer. She was Rookie of the Year in the Eagle last year. So that is a conference-wide decision judged on by the coaches and all of her all-around score. So all-arounder last year coming back. So let's check this out, see how she does. I would imagine she's probably a little bit nervous.
Yeah, coming back from an injury is never fun. Little short on that handstand there.
So far, so good. To me, it's swinging a little bit slowly, but again, she's probably just a little bit stiff. It's getting back into the grand scheme of things. Little rough landing on the dismount, but able to hold on.
A great story for her to come back off of that shoulder surgery. You see the excitement from her teammates after that routine.
Definitely, and she'll continue to get better, assuming that she stays in the lineup. Those landings will get better. She may have been a little winded at the end, came off the bar a little bit early, had to take a couple steps.
There's Paris Phillips on vault for NC State.
Very nice vault from Paris.
Again, just those little hops on the landing. It was a great vault, perfectly straight, no pike down, just can't nail that landing. And I think that's really one of the big things that you see between a team like NC State that's ranked 28th overall versus your top 10 schools. Is the top 10, they nail the landing 95% of the time.
And NC State saw that recently. Their last time out competed on the road in Baton Rouge against LSU. And the Wolfpack rose to the occasion. They posted their highest score of the season, a 195-375. But obviously, as you say, against a team in the top 10 like the 5th-ranked Tigers, that wasn't enough to earn the victory.
Right. The Tigers are definitely a tough team to compete against. That arena is tough to compete in. It's really loud, and LSU has a tendency to pull in thousands of fans. So when you've got a lot of people not necessarily cheering against you, but cheering for the other team, it can definitely take a mental toll on you.
Krista Collins up on bars.
She's a bar specialist for the Panthers. She's competed every meet so far this season. Last couple scores have been in that 9-5 range. So I know she's really looking to add a couple of tenths here and there.
It looked like she just got stuck there at the top.
Yeah, it really did. She struggled to get over the bar on that pirouetting move, and then I don't know if she hit her feet on the low bar. It was kind of hard to tell from our angle, but not able to make that giant. So again, this is that piece that we were talking about earlier. Normally they've been putting up 5 gymnasts. If that was the case, that score would have to count. At least with Haley's score, they may be able to drop this one, assuming that the next few gymnasts actually hit. So we've still got Lucy and Rachel to compete after her. As long as they can both hit their routines, then they don't have to count Krista's score.
So already we see the impact that having Breckwald back could have. I mean,
Yes.
again, it wasn't the cleanest routine.
No.
But it was much better than a fall, and that's going to add points to a Pittsburgh team that's already very competitive.
Exactly. So a fall and again a second fall. There's each fall worth 5 tenths. Even if you take a couple of steps on the landing, 2 tenths is better than 5. So I know Pitt would be happy with, again, even just saving the fall.
Now Alexa Phillips on vault as the sisters go back to back here.
Little bit of a cleaner landing there. Very small hop, possibly a quarter or a half of a tenth, but one of the cleaner landings that we've seen so far.
Alexa, career high on vault of a 9.9, season high of a 9.825. I think that'll come in somewhere right in the middle.
Yep.
So the Wolfpack still with just Drew Grantham, the all-arounder, to go on vault as Coach Snyder looks on. And looking on to their best on the bars, and not just their best, but the Eagles' best on bars, waiting for Lucy Brett. And she's almost at a 9.8 average on the season, just shy of it.
Yeah, she's been, again, one of their leading performers, especially, again, with the struggles that they have had on bars this year. So it is one of those things that they really lean on these last 2 gymnasts to really pull that score up to where it should be.
The pressure is on for Lucy and Rachel. An 8.475 for Krista, so Pitt definitely looking to drop that score.
And Lucy again tonight, 3 event specialist, so we'll see her a few more times.
Beautiful release move. That was a ginger. Ooh, a little mistake there. She lost some momentum.
Yeah, and that stop's actually going to cost her 3 tenths. So not quite as bad as a fall, but not what they needed in this case.
Nice routine otherwise. That little mistake is pretty unfortunate because that could have been a big score for Pitt.
So the Eagles' best stumbles on bars.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate. I know that's not what they wanted and not the way that they wanted to come out, but it happens. Other than that, it was a beautiful routine. Her legs were glued together. She had a great dismount. Just that little misstep.
Now Grantham of NC State. I think her reaction tells you what she thought about that.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to really talk about that one.
Yeah.
I think that was fantastic.
Easily you can see that was the best vault that NC State had today. I'm sure the score will reflect it as well.
And that's what you want from your anchor.
Yes, absolutely.
And again, that vault has been devalued to a 9.95, so she can't even earn a 10. Her season or career high of a 9.9, season high 9.825. I mean, even that little shuffle backwards, I'm going to go with a 9.9 on this one. That would be my guess.
Yep. And you're absolutely right.
All
so
right.
a big score from Grantham as she anchors one of the events that NC State has struggled a bit with so far this season. The pack off to a nice start. Meanwhile, Pitt, their struggles have continued here on bars. Already 1 fall and 2 routines that it wouldn't be fair to say, or would it be fair to say maybe a little shaky?
A little shaky, definitely. I think that's a fair assessment.
That was a stuck landing. I'm sure that they're happy about finishing their rotation on a high note there. But like you mentioned, Andrew, I don't believe that the other two routines would be considered a hit routine.
So we'll see after one rotation where these two teams stack up.
Yeah, you'll see the team totals kind of start to roll in. Rachel Duggan, season high of a 9.8. I thought that routine was pretty clean, so it should come in close to that. And again, not exactly what Pitt wanted on bars, but I still think they're taking steps in the right direction.
And without any exhibitionists, we will take a quick break as we are through one rotation. We'll be right back from Raleigh after this. Over 49. Taylor, you were outstanding on bars, an All-American,
yes,
I must say. So what's the key on bars?
On bars, you're looking for those handstands. You want to make sure that they are exactly perpendicular with the bars at 90 degrees and those stuck landings. So hit your handstands, tight form, pointed toes, stuck landings are all keys to earning all of the tenths that you can possibly get.
And it looks like we're just about set to go here in rotation number 2. This is the 47th meeting all time between NC State and Pittsburgh, so a lot of history between these two opponents. NC State with a healthy lead in the all-time series, 37-9. But more telling, Pittsburgh has won just once here in Raleigh. They're 1-10, with the only win coming before I was born, February 20th, 1988. So it's been a while, and if Pittsburgh can win here today, that would be something, because I'm getting older.
Yes, that would definitely be historical, to say the least.
Charlie Spivey is going to lead things off on this event.
Little hop on the landing, but overall a pretty solid start for Pitt on vault.
Spivey is one of their seniors, and again, she is a 3-event competitor, so they are going to have a lot of routines that Pitt will have to replace next year.
Right now we're looking at Meredith Robinson up on bars for NC State.
Second time up as the leadoff woman in this case.
Did y'all like to go first? Would you prefer to be anchor or somewhere in the middle? What was your preference?
Yeah, I was actually the leadoff person on bars when I competed. And I think after you get used to it, it's a very comfortable spot. They never look at you to get the highest score, but they look at you to kind of set the bar. So 9.7, 9.8 is really what they're targeting, and then hopefully everyone can build on it from there. I don't think my bar routine was ever going to be a 9.9 bar routine, but again, I was consistent, and I think I hit most of my routines throughout my career, and that's really what they're looking for, is just somebody that they know is going to set them off on the right foot.
I had the opportunity to compete with Rachel, and I remember her leading us off on bars each meet, and you're just looking for somebody that you know that you can be confident in.
Olivia Miller for Pittsburgh on vault, one of their freshman all-arounders. Not competing all-around today, but typically in the all-around.
Olivia had a little bit of a step on her landing there.
She scored a 9.8 already twice this year. I don't know if that one did. I saw a little bit of a pike on when she was coming down from that full twist. So maybe not quite as high, but still a pretty good vault. Then Drew Grantham up next for the Wolfpack.
Brimming with confidence, coming off that 9.9 on vault.
Career high and season high on this event of a 9.775.
I talked about hitting those handstands in your bar routine, and Drew did a great job through her whole routine, hitting her handstands and with a clean stuck landing. I think that was a stuck landing.
I was going to ask. I think it was a stick. The hard part with gymnastics is the mats are squishy, so sometimes it looks like there's a little bounce, but they don't really come off the mat. We'll see what the judges say.
Grantham, third best in the Eagles so far this year. She averages 3.87, or a 38.7, I should say. And she's off to a very nice start and might surpass her season high here today. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but you start off with a 9.9, and then y'all are pretty sure that's a stuck landing there on the bars.
It really has a tendency to build upon itself, and Taylor can probably talk about it because she did compete all around. Is once you get that momentum going, you're going.
You are definitely going. Drew looking to keep up her next two routines like she did the first half of her meet, and then hopefully she can get a season or even a career high all-around score.
That was Devin Herbine for Pittsburgh on vault.
9.8 for Drew on bars.
We'll see Melissa Brooker for the first time competing currently. We'll see her again a little bit later on floor.
Nice routine by Melissa. Little hop on the landing there and a couple of form breaks throughout the routine, but overall probably counting that score.
Yeah, and again, her and Drew very similar just in terms of their capabilities. Season and career high 9.775.
And on to vault, Haley Breckwald. We saw her make her debut this season on bars, as she is outstanding at vault, averaging a 9.81 this season, second best in the conference. And you see why.
Very nice vault. Probably going to be right in that 9.8 range.
And a couple of things the judges look for are the height and the distance and the dynamics on vault. I think I would have loved to see that vault a little bit more powerful, but that was a great vault. I think she'll get a really good score, and it'll definitely count towards their team total.
NC State specialist Maggie Tamburo.
She has been one of their key performers on bars her entire career here with the Wolfpack. She is one of the seniors, so unfortunately they'll have to replace this routine, but season and career high already, 9.9. She's pretty sure she nailed that handstand.
Yep, she did. Hop on the landing, but overall, a really, really nice routine from Maggie.
You saw her dig her toes, and she was not going to take more than that small little hop.
She and Lauren Kent have combined to give NC State two of the best bar routines in the Eagle, and that's why they're the best in the conference.
Exactly.
We'll see Lauren Kent anchor for the Wolfpack.
Sophie Bahanic.
Little pike down on that vault there. You could see while she was in the air and a big step backwards. Definitely powerful, got a lot of height, but just needs to learn how to control that for the landing.
And that step on the landing is actually going to cost her a little bit more than one of the small, like, I call them like a foot scooch or a small step that's about shoulder width or hip width apart. So.
Speaking of the height and the explosiveness coming off the board there on vault, what is the key to getting the big air that we see from the top gymnast?
Sure. I mean, it's all about angles. It kind of comes down to physics, actually.
Sounds complicated.
This is Caitlin Fillard. Again, one of NC State's all-arounders. Fillard, one of their seniors, so 4 routines, unfortunately, that they will have to replace.
Happy with that routine.
Season high coming in at a 9.825. I think that was pretty
close.
Pretty close, so we'll see how that comes. And our final competitor for the Panthers is Alicia Patrikas. I always want to say Alicia, but it's a C.
Lots of height on that vault and distance. Again with a step at the end, but they look pretty excited about that vault. So pretty solid vault rotation from Pitt.
So far, she has not scored below a 9.75 on vault.
I don't think she'll get below a 9.75.
And NC State finishing up with Lauren Kent.
Three release moves in this bar routine, which is very difficult. You won't see that very often.
The requirement is 2. You have to have 2 bar changes, a couple of big release moves, and I think we can just see why Lauren is the anchor for the Wolfpack on the uneven bars.
Very good difficulty and execution. Looking for a huge score from the Wolfpack.
Yeah, Coach Landers definitely happy with that one. As soon as Lauren landed, you could see that smile on her face. So, again, her second season, she's really able to bring these Wolfpackers kind of back into the mix. Prior to her joining, I think NC State actually ended up like 44th overall in the team rankings before Kim took over.
So Lauren Kent, quite the overachiever. She's got 3 release moves. She sticks the landing. And we wait to see her score. 9-9
icing on the
flashes
cake.
up.
And that is actually a new career high and definitely a season high. Prior career high was a 9.85, so now she's going to have to continue to live up to those expectations. Once you get it once, they just want you to continue getting it.
We have an exhibitionist up here on bars. This is Katie.
Katie's done a number of exhibitions, so she's a sophomore. She exhibitioned quite a few times in her freshman year and continues to do so. Again, NC State does have a few seniors that are all competitors. They're going to lose some of those routines, and by Katie being on the competition floor, she's just really getting comfortable in those shoes.
She looks ready for competition right now.
She did. That was a great
That was
routine
fantastic.
from Katie. We saw her exhibition at the last home meet, and that was definitely an improvement. So you can see how doing these exhibitions during each meet can really help your confidence as well as your performance.
And again, her score's not, unfortunately, it's not going to help. That could be a really good score, but it gives her, like you said, it gives her that confidence, and when the time comes, that score will count.
All right, 2 rotations in the books. Both teams feeling pretty good about how they've started. We'll see how they finish on the other side of this break.
We were
Before
talking
this
music
meet.
selection. Yes, I think that shows a lot of the girls' personalities. Typically shows off their strength, so they might have something a little bit more classical if that's the type of dancer that they are, or maybe something that sounds familiar to sort of hype them up.
Getting started on balance beam. So actually for both teams, we have event specialists starting us off. So this is Aaliyah Harrison for the Wolfpack.
Beautiful flight series, a back handspring back layouts, pretty common in college gymnastics. She executed that pretty perfectly. So on that straddle jump there, you can see that we're looking for a 180 split degree, and I don't think that she got that quite all the way to 180 degrees.
I think one of the key things on beam is just being confident. She looks pretty confident up there. I'm going to go ahead and knock on wood just so I don't jinx anything.
2 of her more difficult things have already passed, so beautiful dismount. We had a stuck landing. That's a great way to start off a beam rotation for NC State.
And that's a tough spot to be in. She's actually a freshman locally, so she is from Raleigh, but coming in as a freshman with high expectations on beam, being that leadoff person, and she's got a career in season high of a 9.825, so she makes it look like a cakewalk.
Yeah, not an easy position to be in.
This is Jordan Cesarini for the Panthers on floor. Season high of a 9.775. And again, another event specialist today. So both leadoff individuals.
Starting off with a double back tuck. Great landing, nice height as well.
And I will say one thing that visiting teams have to do in this arena is really control their landings on floor. So NC State's been known to have a very springy floor. And if you're not confident in those landings, if you don't know exactly where you're at in the air on some of those tumbling passes, it's easy to go out of bounds.
That's where the home field advantage kind of comes in to play, is that you're used to your own equipment in your own gym, and each meet is going to be a little bit different. The equipment is just going to feel a little bit different, even though it might be the exact same thing. It's always nice to be in your home court.
Floor's always a fun one to watch, but I don't think it ever gets easier to where gymnast doesn't take that deep breath before their last tumbling pass. Every single time.
That was a great routine by Jordan. All of her tumbling passes very clean. She ended her last tumbling pass with actually a unique way, with a straddle jump, and she looked like she actually had extra energy at the end of her routine, which is not always the case.
It's a good way to cover up so you don't have to actually stick the landing. Lauren Kent on beam for the Wolfpack. So again, that huge 9-9 on the uneven bars, and then moving straight to balance beam, having to really calm those nerves.
Yeah, she's got to control her emotions coming off bars. There was only one gymnast between her last routine and this one, so that's definitely a mental game in itself.
Another fairly local gymnast from Willow Springs, so maybe 20 minutes from here or so. Always fun to see those, because then they have a lot of friends in the audience, a lot of family.
Little balance check there, but nice save.
Career high of a 9.85 for Lauren. I don't know if it'll quite be there with some of those balance checks that she's had, but a great ending with that stuck landing. It's fun to see the audience. It's like as soon as beam starts, they know to calm down and be a little bit quieter, and then when floor is going, it just kind of amps up the energy, so it's fun to watch it go back and forth.
It's so tense on the beam. And, you know, the last routine you mentioned, some of the more difficult phases have already passed. Is there ever a point, though, on beam where you can kind of exhale and you say, hey, I've got this dismount, or are you nervous the whole time you're up there?
I think for a lot of girls, there's probably a point during their routine where they feel much more relaxed, but obviously the angst is always going to be there.
Back over to the floor exercise. This is Lucy Brett. So we saw her compete on the uneven bars. Again, one of their top performers that had an unfortunate kind of misstep. She was not in the vault lineup, and then we'll see her back again on balance beam in just a little bit.
In your careers, when you had a misstep maybe on your best event, how much did that affect you the rest of the meet?
I think that that is one of the key things to keep in mind, is that, you know, while it is an individual sport, this is also a team sport, and you just kind of have to get over it, for lack of better terms, and just move on and realize that, you know, you've got to put on your best face and try to keep your head in the game moving forward.
And speaking to it being a team sport, I don't know if there's a single sport where you get more encouragement, more love from your teammates than in gymnastics. I would assume that helps an awful lot for you to be able to leave that misstep in the past and just forget about it.
Yes, absolutely. gymnasts are very supportive because I think you can really respect what everybody's doing out there and be able to put yourself in their shoes. And it's not easy to be out there by yourself all the time. So
I think the nice thing about it being a team is, again, if you have that misstep, you really have the rest of your team to pick you back up, which is nice. But you do have to just leave it in the past and keep going.
Casey just performed a front aerial into a back layout step out, which is extremely difficult. One of the more difficult acro series that you'll see. Both moves with no hands on the beam. So,
and kind of that reverse direction, forward into backwards. Again, really having to know your air awareness, kind of your spatial surroundings, and be perfectly straight in line with the beam.
Another acro move, that was a side semi. Beautifully executed as well. So she's done frontwards, backwards, and sideways, really showing a diverse range of skills.
Another side aerial there. So she clearly likes no-handed elements on beam.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah, one of the beam specialists for the Wolfpack.
It's a beautiful routine.
Now the freshman, Olivia Miller.
Some nice smiles from Olivia. We like to see that.
This is actually her last event for the day. So she is a 3-eventer, but she does not compete on beam, which is what I did. So sometimes the away meets were nice. You got your 3 events out, and then you could just rest for the last one.
First double pike that we've seen from Pitt today.
At one point, I did have this floor music.
And then a double tap. Very nicely done.
So you've got to have a lot of respect for her. She's got the same style as you, same events, same music.
It's like I'm competing again, and I don't have to actually do the work.
She's been an impact freshman so far for the Panthers. And again, I mentioned earlier, they were picked 4th in the preseason in the Eagle. They made the regional last year, and they look poised to do that again this season. And then who knows moving forward as Miller takes a stumble. But you add a couple of impact freshmen to a team with already a lot of talent, and Coach has got to feel really great about where they're at and where they can go.
Yeah, unfortunate mistake there. On her last pass. Her first 2 passes were beautiful. Just looks like she didn't have enough height to get that around. So I know Pitt's going to be looking to drop that score.
Yeah, her season high is a 9.775, but unfortunately she did have a misstep last week as well, only scoring a 9.125. So again, maybe something to work on in the gym, just in terms of endurance, or maybe even changing the order of her passes so she feels a little bit more confident.
This is the all-arounder, Caitlin Fillard.
Caitlin, again, one of their seniors. Definitely going to have somebody's going to have some big shoes to fill next year.
Very nice routine so far. Minimal deductions.
Typically comes in around that kind of 9.8, 9.85 mark, and it looks like she's going to do just the same, if not more. I'm always gonna hope for a new career high or a new season best. That was a really good routine.
NC State's been solid on beam all season long, and they've been all business today.
Yeah, they're not messing around today.
If they could do this every week, I think they could really improve that ranking from 28th overall into, maybe even the top 20. This is Sophie Bachneck I'm curious. I know on floor, NC State always does the little wolf with their hand, like the hand symbol. I don't know if Pittsburgh has anything like that.
I thought when we competed that they may have had the Panther sound before their routine.
They may
but
have.
I don't hear it today.
Maybe with the new head coach, that's some. Oh, there we go. Just kidding. Maybe not everyone has it. And again, it seems like the floor routines never get easier, no matter how many times you practice them, how many times you compete them. I think you just always try to do, it's like once you get comfortable, you always try to do a little bit more, so then you're out of breath again.
Yes, that's exactly right. Every time that you step out there, you want to give it 110%, and sometimes it takes that extra energy out of you. I remember smiling so hard sometimes that my lips would get stuck to my gums.
Yes, definitely. All right, this is our debut out of Nicole Webb. We will see her on beam and again on floor. Nicole, again, another fairly local gymnast out of Morrisville, so just right out by the airport. Season and career high of a 9.875.
You mentioned before on beam and floor that we're looking for that artistic component of dance elements as well as acrobatic, and Nicole does a great job of pulling that together on beam and floor. Really shows off her ability to dance and to express herself.
It's always fun when you can just sit there and enjoy watching the routine for that artistic capability. You can see trying to use as much of the beam as possible, finding right where the end of it is.
Great routine by Nicole. One balance check on the sheep jump. Her eyes actually had to go off of the beam as her head threw back, and she bobbled a little bit, but still could possibly count that score.
And Alicia Patricus on floor.
Patricus just coming off of vault. So definitely one of their dynamic individuals. You typically see that with vault and floor combinations.
Lots of power. See the team back there dancing along with her and having fun.
It's always more fun to have your teammates right on the side of the floor when they can dance and cheer around. And then you get into postseason when they put you in a corral.
And you lose that a little bit.
You really do.
So NC State with a pretty solid beam rotation so far. The pressure's kind of off of Drew a little bit. But I know that she's looking to put up a season high, if not career high, score.
Definitely. She's in a great spot, like you said. So the other gymnasts have all hit. They've already got 5 really solid counting scores. If Drew can get again, if she could perform what she's supposed to perform, they could bump that a little bit. But like you said, the pressure's kind of off. So unfortunate fall for Drew, but it's a routine that doesn't have to count for the Wolfpack.
But individually, she was off to such a great start through 2 events.
Right.
And that fall is going to obviously tank her numbers for the all-around.
Definitely. Drew's definitely one that kind of wears her emotions on her sleeves, and you could see her facial expression change completely.
Yeah, definitely not pleased with herself, but pretty flawless routine otherwise.
And gymnastics, especially on beam, it's hard. So an inch to the left and you're completely off the beam, an inch to the right, and she would have nailed it perfectly. So it's when it's only 4 inches wide, that small amount makes a huge difference.
Charlie Spivey on the floor averages better than a 9.8. In fact, 9.825 is her average this season. That's 3rd best in the Eagle, and she is the anchor for the Panthers.
So Charlie needs to hit this routine so that they can drop the score that they had to count with a fall. So hopefully she can keep that 9.85 momentum going.
I think one of the traditional things that we used to see a lot in lineup is teams that would put their best person last. There's a lot of teams that actually don't do that anymore, kind of throw the judges for a loop and hopefully bolster somebody else's score. So you may put maybe an average performer in the end of the lineup, and maybe you can get an extra half a tenth out of the judges. She looks like she's having quite a bit of fun. Got some really good facial expressions.
Yeah, she's enjoying herself for sure and happy with her performance so far. 1 tumbling pass left. Nice routine by Charlie. Pitt surely needed that. That's exactly what they were looking for.
Spivey a season high, which she's already gotten twice this year, of a 9.85, and then other scores coming in at a 9.825 and a 9.775. So definitely, like you said, one of their strongest performers.
All right, so we're done with the official scoring for 3 rotations, but NC State still with an exhibitionist to go.
Alexis Buechler on the beam. Alexis, typically a vault and beam performer. She has actually not competed this year so far, but a beam career high of a 9.875. So she has been a strong performer, somebody that the Wolfpack can really count on in the past.
She looks pretty confident up there right now. So probably trying to work her way back into the lineup.
And there's probably some reasoning behind that. You know, maybe it was an injury or, you know, unfortunately for some some mental issues that come in. I have no idea what it would be. Hopefully it's nothing mentally. She actually looks pretty confident up there, which is nice.
Nice routine.
So, thoughts through 3 rotations so far, Rachel?
I think both teams are doing a really great job at what they were expected to do coming in here. So again, NC State went 24 for 24 last week against LSU. They don't have to count the fall that Drew had, but again, it's not something that they want. They always want to have the option of whose score to drop. So I think that's definitely something unfortunate for them. But Pittsburgh has actually looked better than I expected them coming in. Again, they've had that struggle on bars. But other than that, they've been really good within the Eagle Conference overall. And I think they're having a lot of fun here today and really rising to the occasion.
We see the Wolfpack up a full point heading into the final rotation. They'll be on the floor, but Pittsburgh is top 25 on Beam. We'll see them there when we come back.
And like you said, each week moving forward, they are really hoping to improve that team total, which again will improve the RQS, improve their rankings overall, and then again going into the Eagle Championship, hopefully be able to come off with another win.
And for Pittsburgh over on Beam, they're top 25 in this event. Their high for this season is a 49.1. They're second best in the Eagle in this event. And so with this Beam lineup, they also have the potential to get near a high score this season of 195-175 they set against George Washington.
Definitely. I think it's going to be hard for them to overcome a 1-point deficit.
Yeah.
NC State would have to make a lot of mistakes on the floor, which hopefully they do not. But again, in the grand scheme of things with gymnastics, it's not always about the wins and losses. It's really about the score and how things are calculated.
And this being a away meet for Pitt will definitely help that RQS score next week.
Exactly. Like we mentioned at the beginning, 3 scores have to be from away meets.
Great way to start off the Beam rotation. Very nice routine. No major deductions.
That was Haley Breckwald, again, her 3rd event for the day. And you could see all those high fives at the end from her teammates. So they were extremely pleased and satisfied with that leadoff routine.
Caitlin Fullard kicking it off for the Wolfpack.
4th and final event. Fullard so far today having a great meet.
Starting off with a double pike.
You know it's big tumbling when she has to like let go of her legs partially through the skill to make sure she lands on her feet.
Yeah, having the ability to open up in the middle of your skill is huge. The judges love to see that. Anything that you can make look easy in gymnastics is always going to be an advantage. Great 1.5 punch front.
And again, we've mentioned that that she's a senior, and it's one of those things kind of going into your senior year. You normally retire after this. She's got a handful of more meets that she's going to be competing in, probably around 7 more meets. It's, you know, just leave it all out there, and that's exactly what she did today.
Nice way to kick off the floor rotation for the Wolfpack. Very solid performance.
That was a huge lead off for the pack. Back over to the beam again. You see hear the arena get instantaneously quiet. This is Kylie Robotin. She was actually named Specialist of the Week last week in the Eagle Conference. Scored a 9.9 on this event, which is actually the individual high that Pittsburgh has gotten this year out of any meet on any event.
Very unique skill there and extremely difficult taking off on one foot, landing on one foot.
I think the only other person I've seen do that is Nastya Liukin in the Olympics.
I was just going to say that. Great routine. Shows a lot of difficulty, a lot of dynamics.
So far, we can see why Pitt is ranked number 2 in the conference.
Yeah, no doubt. Melissa Booker of NC State.
Had a little break on the balance beam, so she's coming off a bar competition. A little bit of a rest period, and now back to floor. Again, you can see the NC State team in the background doing all the claps and dancing with Melissa. It's actually a junior out of Charlotte.
See all of the gymnasts at some point of their routine make that woof symbol. Great routine from Melissa. Solid landings, no major deductions, keeping that momentum going for the pack, shooting for that 196.
Team obviously happy with that performance.
Yep.
Here's what Pitt has coming up next: a quad meet, then a tri meet, then at Minnesota to kick off March. So quite a difference going from just a dual meet like this to a quad.
Yeah, the quad meets are, there's just a lot more energy in the environment. So right now the gymnasts alternate back and forth. One goes, then the other. In a quad meet, all 4 events are going simultaneously. So even when it's on floor and it's super extremely loud, the people on beam have to block out that noise because the volume doesn't go down.
It's a great opportunity to sort of practice for postseason events because once you get to those conference and regional championships, there's obviously going to be more than 2 teams at those meets. So being able to get exposure to that during the regular season is definitely helpful.
Lucy.
Unique skill, that was an illusion, but unfortunately a big bobble there. You don't see a lot of those on the balance beam anymore.
Definitely a difficult skill. I believe that's actually an E, which is
the highest value.
Yeah, technically rated one of the hardest skills you can do.
You can see her talking to herself a little bit on the beam, which is very common. Trying to stay focused and in the zone.
And no deduction for that. The judges don't deduct
no.
for you talking to yourself. If you were talking to your coach, it'd be different.
Right.
But you can talk to yourself.
And for the Wolfpack, coming up next, as we mentioned earlier, facing rival North Carolina. And then a tri-meet against William and Mary, Kent State. So quite a few bunched up here in February, their next 3.
Yep, 2 weeks ago they were on Carolina's turf, and so now Carolina will be on Wolfpack turf. Nicole Webb, like you mentioned, a great dancer.
She's pretty tall for a gymnast, which is always nice to see. Looks like she did go out of bounds on that landing, which is unfortunate because that is an extra deduction that NC State is not looking to have to count in order to get the goal of a 196.
It's only a 10th, but it comes off the average of her score. So the judges judge as if she hadn't gone out of bounds. If it comes in at a 9.8, they actually drop that down to a 9.7, which is where kind of why that 10th out of bounds makes a huge difference. Definitely a more classic look on floor than some of just the dynamic, powerful, dancing to current hip-hop music.
Right. Very beautiful routine, other than stepping out of bounds, which was very unfortunate. Just have to learn to control that power. Sometimes, you know, it being your very first tumbling pass, you go extra hard, and you just have to keep those landings under control.
This is Herbine of Pittsburgh.
Herbine, one of their sophomores, actually got a season high last week of a 9.8 on this event. Three jumps in combination there. So one thing to point out is the gymnasts actually don't start from a 10.0 on bars, beam, or floor. They actually start from a 9.5, and they have to do difficult skills and skills in combination. They actually earn tenths of a point to their start value, which is where they get that 10.0 or potential 10.0. So that's why you see them doing all kinds of things in combination.
Pitt clearly excited about that routine. Should be a big score for them.
And we've got Alexa Phillips up first for the Phillips twins. So they started on vault. They've had a big break. So you start on vault, you've got all this energy. Take a couple of, essentially about an hour or so since they've actually competed. You've got 3 minutes during touch warm-up to figure everything out, and now get back to some powerful dynamics here on floor.
Do you find that that's enough time to get fully warmed up again after that break? There's no way you can stay warm for the whole hour. Do you start doing something beforehand?
Yeah, you're normally kind of running up and down like the vault runway, kind of behind the scenes, jumping up and down. Luckily, the energy in here keeps you a little bit warm. You don't really have a choice. You only get 3 to 4 minutes during that touch, and you just got to make the best of it.
Alexa opened her routine with an Arabian double front, which is one of those E elements that we were talking about before, and she actually stuck it perfectly. So this could be a huge, huge score for Alexa. She continues to perform the way she has been.
And we'll see again. We'll see the twins go back to back. Paris was first on vault. Alexa's first on floor. But a career high on here, a 9.9, season high of a 9.85. Really looking for some big things. And the nice thing is, twin sister always stands in the opposite corner. Both of them do that for each other, which is kind of fun.
I think she'll definitely get that 9.85. I know she's looking for a 9.9. You can see, though, they've got this twin thing going on, which is very cool. It's going to be a big score for the pack.
Charlie Spivey on beam.
This is Charlie's first time competing on beam in her career. Again, one of the seniors. So I can't imagine what kind of nerves are playing into this right now.
And stepping into an event where they've already had so much success.
And again, never competing on it. You've been at the school for 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, we're our 6th meet of the season, and this is the first time competing on beam. So I hope that she's done some exhibitions in the past to really get her used to being in the spotlight. But so far, so good.
So that means for 4 years she actually trained this event, and this being the first opportunity to compete it. So it is a big moment for her.
I finally stopped training beam after my junior year. talked with the coaches and was, hey, I'm not going to compete. I'm like the 8th alternate, so let me just not even worry about it.
And you can focus on the other 3 events as well. Pretty nice routine from Charlie. And I would say for the first time ever competing on beam, that's a great
I would consider that a hit. I think some of her leaps and jumps could have used a little bit more split. She may have been a little bit stiff on some of those, just a little bit cautious, but overall pretty good.
And that's definitely a nerves type of thing. So if she continues to compete throughout the season, then I'm sure those will improve.
I want to say either like big sister or little sister Phillips, but I don't know who's actually older. But this is Paris.
And very similar gymnastic styles too. So,
and exact same tumbling passes.
Yes, we are not seeing double.
Same hairstyle, same tumbling passes.
See her dancing, getting into her routine. The crowd loves it.
She actually did not compete last year. I think she competed maybe once or twice on vault. Did not see her on floor at all due to an injury, so it's fun to see her back. And I'm sure Alexa loves having her sister back on the floor with her. Big smiles all around. I think after you land that last tumbling pass and you know you're done, I think that's when you can breathe that sigh of relief.
Yes,
she nailed that last pass.
She nailed that last pass and her whole routine, and the Wolfpack has got to be pretty happy with their performance today. They have one more routine left, but so far so good.
And last up for the Panthers, this is Brittany West, a senior event specialist.
Best in the Eagle, she averages a 9.85 this season. And Paris Phillips just got a 9.875 on floor.
That ties her season high, just a smidge short of her career high at a 9.9. Like you said, West averaging a 9.85. Her season high actually just a tad a bit above that at a 9.875. So far, so good. No hesitation into that tumbling pass. A lot of times you see kind of a gymnast step into it, take a breath, and then go. She just walked right in like she's been doing it since she was infant.
And that was a very unique leap that she did there. Extremely difficult. She actually added a half twist to what most people don't do.
Fantastic routine, just that step on the landing, and you can see that she's happy, the team is happy. And that actually concludes the Panthers on today's competition. I don't know that they have an exhibition on beam. It doesn't look like it.
So Drew Grantham is the final athlete to compete today as the anchor for NC State's floor exercise. And you see that team score that we have for NC State right now. Now that's not quite official yet, but it will be soon. And you see Grantham has a chance to put them well over 196, it would appear.
Opener for Grantham. And again, it's off that fall on beam. You got to get your head kind of back in the game, so to speak. But it's, I want to say, fairly easy to do when floor is your last event.
very confident on this event, very solid, beautiful dancer, loves to perform.
Huge last tumbling pass for Drew. Career high on this event of a 9.9. Season high of that 9.875. And that was, I feel like that's going to be pretty close.
So NC State bringing it today in week 6 against Pittsburgh, trying to stay undefeated in the Eagle, and they will do that today. We're still waiting, again, to get the official scores, but we can confidently say after this last rotation, NC State putting on a dominant performance today. We're not quite done yet. I'm told that there will be a floor exhibitionist, expecting Haley Mesmer to go here, but while we have just a moment, I'd love, Taylor, your reaction to the performance that we've seen from the Wolfpack today.
Yeah, it just seems that every week NC State is improving, which is exactly what they want to do as the season progresses. I'm definitely impressed with the amount of difficulty in their routines as well as the execution. It looks like they're really trying to focus on those landings. We still see some hops and steps here and there, but you can see the fight in them for each of those little tents, and it's certainly showing in their score.
And you heard that cheer in the background. Grantham actually tied her career high at a 9.9 on floor, so fantastic job out of that.
That might bump up NC State's total all around.
I think it will by, even half a tenth or so. So a new season high for the Wolfpack. Brought in on the floor, and then you see again the totals that we see currently are unofficial. We don't know if any of the teams will inquire about anything, but you see Pitt there ending with a 194.825, so just a smidge under their season high, which they got a few weeks ago at versus George Washington, another Eagle foe.
And again, it's unofficial, but a 196.350 is just about 3/10 under what NC State won the Eagle with last year at the end of the season. And so it looks like maybe the preseason prognosticators might have been correct by picking them to win again. If they're already at this point in week 6, what could the ceiling be for them by the end of the season?
I mean, it is a long season, so you definitely want to keep that in mind. However, typically gymnastics teams get better as the season goes along. They're refining their lineups, they're refining their skills, and really just figuring out what they have to do during each meet to maintain and improve those scores. So ideally, they keep looking to climb the rankings, and maybe a 196.35 isn't the highest we'll see this year.
I think this is definitely going to be a good meet to say, okay, we know we can do it. Let's keep doing that or get a little bit better. So great performance. And again, just the one fall, great that they didn't have to count it, but that could even add a little bit more. It's been a while since the Wolfpack team has gotten to a 197. I'm sure they would love to see if they could get there.
And as you mentioned,
Sure,
the one fall on beam and just a couple of steps here and there, it looks like that might be doable for this year's team.
I think it totally is doable for them. Like you said, just cleaning up a couple little things, and they're there, competing with the best of them.
And again, the unofficial team totals after all 4 rotations. Pitt at a 194.825, NC State at a 196.35. Season high, definitely for them. And again, when you're going into an RQS, that will probably come in play. Unfortunately, right now, that's going to be the score that gets dropped. But hopefully, if they can get above that, we can start using some of those 196s that they'll see more of.
We get the scores from Pittsburgh on beam. Again, they're one of the best in the country in this event. maybe not quite as sharp as they traditionally are, but still very good on beam and very good today. Obviously defeated today, but as you said earlier, Rachel, it's not really about the wins and losses. It's about getting better. It's about your RQS. This is a road meet for them, and they were, half a point above their season average of 194.3. So a lot of positives still to take away from the Panthers.
Yeah, this is going to be a fantastic away score that they'll be able to use for that regional qualifying score.
We'll see NC State on the floor, and they were just tremendous. This is an event. I wouldn't say that they've struggled in this event, but they're fourth in the Eagle right now, and they looked a little better than that today.
Yeah, they sure did. Like I mentioned before, each time they compete, it's just going to get better and better, and cleaning up those landings. Obviously, we did see one of the gymnasts step out of bounds, so that in itself, each week, if they can improve one thing, those tend to add up.
Exactly, like you said, Nicole Webb stepping out of bounds, so that actually dropped her 9.875 down to the 9.75 that we see. If you can just get another half-tenth out of each gymnast, you're going to be dropping a 9.8, which is huge for the Wolfpack.
So that'll conclude our broadcast this afternoon from Reynolds Coliseum. NC State and Pittsburgh meeting for the 47th time all-time, and NC State putting on the performance of the season so far. A 196-3-2 the score for the Wolfpack as they defeat the Pitt Panthers, who scored 194.825. For our fantastic crew here at Raleigh, North Carolina, my partners Rachel Garland, Taylor Brooks, my name is Andrew Sanders, saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hope you enjoy the college gymnastics here on ESPN.